Hey, good day, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Andrew's Life. On this video, I will be driving through the town of Lumpkin, Georgia. Lumpkin, Georgia is located in Stewart County. It is located towards the southwest section of the state of Georgia. Now, as the title of the video stated, yes, Lumpkin, Georgia did lose over half of its people, and they lost half of its people all within 10 years. And as I continue to give you guys a little bit of information about this town, you guys will learn why. So anyhow, Lumpkin, Georgia's population is 1,280 people, very small town. And it has lost 55.5% of its population as of the 2020 census. This town is 40 minutes away from Columbus, Georgia, and it's an hour from Albany, Georgia. So in terms of larger cities, obviously there's not crap here to do, given that it's a small town, and you're not gonna find a whole lot to do in any of your nearby towns that are a little larger. So as far as it goes for any kind of entertainment, your choices are gonna be either Columbus or Albany. Now, I'm not sure if there's a whole lot to do in Albany. I haven't done my research on Albany. I haven't been to Albany in recent years. So, but anyways. Now, when it comes to the crime, I mean, both violent and property crime are well below average. And when it comes to the race, you got 28.4% white, 68.4% black, and 3.3% Asian. Now, Lumpkin, Georgia was inhabited by the indigenous Native Americans for thousands of years before they were forced by the U.S. government in 1830 to move west of the Mississippi River to Indian Territory to make more room for European Americans, for European American settlement here in Lumpkin. Now, Lumpkin was incorporated by European Americans in 1829. The city was named in honor of Wilson Lumpkin, who was a two-term Georgia governor who supported the removal of Indians from town. The town was a commercial center that was a part of the Black Belt region of the South. Like the Black Belt region is primarily in Alabama, but apparently some of the Black Belt region was also located here in the state of Georgia. So the town was a commercial center that was a part of the Black Belt, served by the stagecoach. The merchants traded with the planters in the area. Cotton plantations were put here due to the fertile land. So, back in the 19th century, there were a whole bunch of cotton plantations that were here due to the land being fertile, yeah. And then, of course, the slaves processed the cotton for the market. And after the Civil War, when many slaves were freed, when After the Civil War, when slaves were freed, many slaves, many freed slaves decided to stay here in town, and they became sharecroppers. Later, the planters quit growing cotton and began to grow peanuts and pine trees, which with those type of crops, they didn't need as much labor. So as they made the transition from cotton to peanuts and pine trees, they didn't need as much labor. So the town began to lose a lot of the black population due to many blacks moving to the north in the Midwest. An F2 tornado hit the northwest side of town on December 5th of 1954, killing one person and injuring 20 people. Now, this town lost 55.5% of its population. From the 2010 to the 2020 census, it lost 55.5% of its population due to the prison inmates no longer being counted as residents of town. So, this town has a prison. It's called Stewart Detention Center, and it's ran by Care Civic. So apparently, for many years, when for many years, and I would say for funding purposes, Lumpkin counted all the people that were incarcerated in the town's prison as residents of Lumpkin, even though they were not residents of Lumpkin. They were just prison inmates serving time in the Stewart Detention Center. So I guess between the 2010 census and the 2020 census, I'm going to assume that Lumpkin probably got in a little bit of trouble by the government for counting all those inmates as citizens of the community when they really weren't. So I'm going to assume that they got in trouble for that, and they were forced to have to quit counting those individuals. So as a result, that's how the town lost over 50% of its population, 55.5% of its population to be exact. And as you guys can see, there's really nothing special about this town. This is just a small, typical rural, deep southern town. I honestly don't have anything negative to say about this town. If you're someone who is looking to be within an hour of larger cities such as Columbus, and now I will say when it comes to housing, there's not a whole lot of houses. In fact, when I looked at houses that were for sale on realtor.com, I didn't see any houses that were for sale. So there could be a house here for sale. It just may not be on realtor.com. But I would say that right now at best, there's not too many houses here for sale. And this is just one of those little towns where I guess if you can find a place to live here, like I said, I don't have anything bad to say about this place. It's definitely slow pace. It's definitely a blink of an eye, you'll miss it type of deal. But there's people out here that prefer to live this type of life. And for those of you that think you want to live off grid and you want to escape the rat race of 9 to 5, you want to leave the city and you want to get away from high crime and all that wonderful stuff, I would say a town like this, I mean, with the crime here being so low, I would say this would be the type of town to look for. Rather it be here in Georgia or rather it be in any of the neighboring states or wherever. I mean, if I were you, I would look for a town kind of like this, and maybe look for a house that sits on, I don't know, an acre of land or more, or whatever it is you're able to afford, and just give that a try. I mean, that way you'll kind of be away from the hustle and bustle of larger cities, but at the same time, you're not going to be so far away to where you're going to have poor internet connections, to where you're not going to have access to city sewage and city sewage and water. And plus, it'll be within at least some kind of amenities. I mean, you live in a town like this, I mean, at the very least, you'll be within a reasonable distance to a Dollar General. That way, if you gotta pick up something real quick, like you might need to go get some water or there's something stupid like that, you don't have to drive a half hour to go pick it up. Or if you need to do your grocery shopping for the week, you know, you go out, you get some real food. You're not going to have to drive super far to the closest smaller community that's a little larger than this one to get that. And of course, you're right by the highway here. Oh, and I forgot to let's see here. No mind, yeah. So yeah, I mean, if you're looking to live off grid, you think you want to live off grid, like I said, you know, come and check out Lumpkin, Georgia. You might decide that this is as close as you want to be to living way out in the middle of nowhere. You might decide that if you go any smaller or any further than a town like this from the city, you might decide that you don't want to go no farther than this. Alright, that's my 2 cents. I'm going to quit talking here. I'm going to let you guys enjoy the rest of the video. If you like what you see, give me a thumbs up. Help with the YouTube algorithm. As always, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, consider doing that, because I will be dropping plenty of videos. And again, as always, I thank every last one of you for tuning in to another episode of Andrew's Life. So everyone have a blessed one, and I will see you guys on the next one.